apostolic exhortation ni Pope John Paul II. Katong nahimo na niya ang katong document nga Catechesis in our time. Sa Latin pa, Catechesi Tradendae.
Bitaw no?
Karon, ini gitagaan og importansya ang living example to the learners as proof of authentic and mature Christian life para mahimong credible teachers of faith and make Christ present in the contemporaries to make catechesis more attractive and effective. Mauni nga catechist must also have professional training and continuing educational formation and development. Tapos, to have adequate religious motivation para successful ang teaching of the faith. So, morning nga, I always say nga, importante ang atong ongoing formation. Besides nga, muhimon mo, nakadungog naman ko, anak. Dili ginatinoon. Kaya bisan pagbalik-balikon pa ng atong tao, with the different speakers or even the same speaker, you will always learn something new. Dili yun. Di ba yung kanunay natin minumduman? We need refreshment. I-refresh din natin kanunay natin mind. After the publication of the 1984 sa ACDP, many new advances and initiatives na imo to substantially improve the catechesis or education of the faith in the Philippines. O sana, ani ang publication sa
CCC.
CCC, no? Sa 1994, Catechism of the Catholic Church. Dayon, nagsunod ang General Catechetical Directory, 1997. Pero, karon, usab na po na nilang ngalan, gihimo nilang General Directory for Catechesis.
2020 na.
Another issuance of significant church documents in the Philippines, such as acts and decrees of the Second Plenary Council of the Philippines, PCP2, 1992. Nisunod dayon, aside from the CCC, naghimo na sa sanay ato nga National Catechetical Book entitled Catechism for Filipino Parish sa 1997. Pag-abot ni Pope Benedict, nag-promulgate na sa siya the Book of Compendium of the Catechism of the Catholic Church by Pope Emeritus Benedict.
Ano ba yung ang compendium, ma'am?
Gina,
comprehensive.
Okay.
Ma'am Gina, about
That
the
is a Latin.
Catechismo Filipino, mo na siya
Mo na siya, Catechismo Catholic. English, Catechism for Filipino Catholic. So, kung I have all these books na sa kusakyanan, ipakita na ako. Nakalimot ko pagdala. When these renewed efforts in the catechetical ministry over the past 20 years, kung atong usuntahon, sila nakatuloy, gikan nila by 20 years gikan sa kanang pagkuan.
Revise.
2021, karon pa naman ba, 2025,
20 years, every 20 years man daw na sila.
The bishop in the Philippines, particularly the Episcopal, CCCC, and appeal ng kanang CBCP, decided to revise and update the present catechetical directory entitled, mao na ni ang bago karon na New National Catechetical Directory for the Philippines. 2007 siya. Mao di ay the reason na wala na gid nako nakita ang libro sa Google ang katong old nga NCBP. Kay naa na day bago gi
Revise.
Ila na ditanggal sa Google. Wala na gyud. Pero nakakawat gyapon ko, nakakita gyapon Facebook, may na lang nakita na ko sa Facebook nga picture ba? Nabasahan ako, na-differentiate na ako, kaya naaman ko itong daan, kung sa'yo nakalagay sa bagong sa daan. So, later on, ako naman ko. So, catechist and religious educator must teach in the faith in epiphanic way rather than argumentative, integral or whole in all aspects, and most importantly, by witnessing as Pope Paul seeks observes. Dili lang gani kay si Pope John Paul II nagsulti kang Pope Paul XVI pa dahil modern human being listen more willingly to witness than to teachers. And if they listen to teachers, it is because they are witnesses. So it's not only we teach theoretically by teaching, but not in our action, because what we teach, we do not live, we did not, hindi mapili sa mga bata. But if you give experiential teaching, sabi mo ni sister, katong sa kahapon, na it should be experiential teaching. Na you teach what you experience. Kaya kung you only do the teaching, because it is in the doctrines, it is in the book, hindi na nila paminawon. They want more witnesses and testimonies of the teachings. To be witnesses of the gospel, catechists must be formed in a deep love of God, revealed in Jesus Christ, so that they may be inspired to become creative, imaginative, ongoing, and exploring new methods, new fervor, new expressions, and even new means of social communication for more effective instruction of the good news, especially to young generation. Karon, mga tanong kailangan na o mga visuals, mga images, mga videos, para ma-call mo ilang attention. The role of the catechists and religious educators is to echo not personal opinions or attitudes, but the message of Christ, the Lord's self-disclosure of love or revelation to the world. So, what we echo is the message of God, not our opinion. We teach what is taught in the gospel, not what we think, or not our own thinking. Mauni siya yan. Sometimes we do not rely on our own knowledge and ability to teach. Sometimes mawa na ta. You're teaching in your own, dili na based on the gospel. Then lastly, kanina siya ang catechism for, muna na siya, Acts. Kaning Acts, gamay lang, akong hatagan ka mag-idea, unsa ni siyang Acts and the Three sa second plenary. Ang auxiliary bishop sa Manila, during the PCP2, saw the urgency that the church in the Philippines is in urgent need of renewal and revitalization in the faith. For there is an appalling religious ignorance of a vast of Catholics. Nakita na niya, anang natagpa-decline ang ato ang teachings, ang mga laborers, nagtagamay na lang. So, it needs renewal and revitalizing. So, because we lack of trained catechists. With this reality in Christian formation, it is necessary that religious instructions of catechesis must be integral or holistic, not only teaching the minds on the various doctrines and teachings of the faith, but the challenge is on how to live these teachings of Jesus Christ and develop a deeper sense of God in prayer and sacramental life. So, mo balik diha punta na we live the teaching first in ourselves, by ourselves. Ang third area nga dapat i-renew nato is the worship. Renewing the worship life requires renewing our prayer life. Nakaba tayo prayer life? Answer it to yourself. The goal of catechesis as holistic Christian faith and life in the way of head, heart, and hands. So, sa huna sa kasing-kasing o sa buhat,
Isa to na yung hali.
maogidi ang holistic na Christian. At the end of the PCP2, reminds all educators to take that renewed evangelization most significant characteristic is emphatic recognition of the primary role of the Holy Spirit. Muna kulang na to. We do not ask the Holy Spirit for guidance. It is the Holy Spirit who impels everyone to proclaim the gospel, and it is He who in the depths of consciences calls the word of salvation to be accepted and understood. Catechists must always keep in mind to always pray to the Holy Spirit, for He will ensure the continuity an identity of understanding amid challenging condition and circumstances. The next thing to do for religious educators, religious educators naman is to do their best in teaching the faith and always ask the guidance and the will of the Holy Spirit, which is the teacher of faith. So, lao no? Okay, kwarto. So, karon, alin na maghatag ko og kuan. Muna ni, musulod na ta sa context sa catechetical. Unsay consequences sa catechetical ministry. These are the aspects. Nagbase na ang atong catechesis ani. Socio-economic political profile and education. Then the socio-cultural religious profile and new media. The Filipino family, including the youth, school religious instructions, and family values. So, murag mukuan na ito gamay kung ano maka-apekto ni sa ato ang catechesis. Ang socio-economic political profile, mubase siya first, we have to know the demography or the population na sa ato ang dili lang first ako generalize na kay na ko sister kay the entire country lang ang akong population na ibasihan pila ko Katekista na ang population and then later on si sister mahagag niya sa local na population. So the demography population of the Philippines stands at 76.5 million. Sa statistic ni, not the present na 2024 ha. This is in time of 2021 na. That was the time of the National Catechetical Studies and Research ni Batan. Nya, it's growing at a rate of 2% annually. So, kadaghan. Nya, more than half live in the rural area. It is very young population with about half below 20 years of age. So, daghan pa digya pong tagbatanon. Dili lang kay mga tiguang nagkadaghan. So, ay ta sa economics. Around 39% of Filipinos per capita income below the poverty. Daghan diya pong tampuwi karon. Dayon, ang employment rates nato hovered around 9% to 11% over kani sa time niha 1991 nato sa 2000 decade, Metro Manila averaging 12% to 18%. So kani nga studies dito ang ilahang gibasihan ani sa capital sa Manila. Then we have the squatters account also about 30% of the country's urban population. Di ganit tingali 30%, I think more than that. Kung nga silang Cebu, kung Mindanao, daghan ulit. Ang kana lang, ilan ang dibasi ang studies because from the province, they are going to Manila, manadakan squatters dito. Kaya they've been seeking for a job tungkol sa kapubre sa probinsya. Kaya sila trabaho. Nga, niresulta, ang Manila is crowded na ang polluted. Then sa politics naman po, in terms of politics, despite the laudable efforts of many honest politicians and civil servants, the political situation is still burdened by much graft and corruption. Dishonest election and the dominance of partisan and self-centered interests over the common good. Makaluya. And then, this is reality. The political leaders often try to consult and seek support from religious figures, matulad simbahan, sa mga obispo, matulad sa Iglesia ni Cristo, which are widely considered to exercise strong influence in local politics. Pagtuon nila, going there, you can get more votes. Pero legal. Then, arita sa education. How is the education this time? There is imbalances. The gap between between expectations and actual educational standards. Nako kayo ang gap. We expect to be like this, but the actual, dili ingon ana ang nahitabo. Then, ang supply and demand also. Nako sa gihapon og gap. However, karon baya, despite nga na consumerism, materialism, na ana, still, ang demand, kay daghan man gihapon ang tubig. Then, the quality of education, both public and private, is pulled down by the poor ratio of teachers to students, or textbook to students. Una-una, alam, usa ka teachers marigundod, magdala og 190 or 60 ka students. How is that? The ratio. Usa ka maestra, magtudlo kag 60 ka mga bata. Could you expect to have a good quality of education with that? Dili jud. Mao na ang kuan sa edukasyon karon. And same with the textbook. Pila naman yung textbook i-supply sa DepEd? And how many students in the classroom? Dili gyapon. I-share. Mag-share sila. Wala jud intang libro.
Dili man ipadala.
Wala jud quality ang atong education.
Kay maguba. Dili ipabasa. Oh, di pabasa kay maguba.
Hindi man siya mayus sa balay, mabukdot ang bata.
At may oh niya. Ang nakalimutan lang karon kay we have the internet na. We can search. We can search. Then ay ka sa socio-cultural. Nano ni ha kay this is part of the context of the catechetical ministry. Ang Philippine culture is becoming progressive na, di ba? We are aware of this, materialist, consumerist, even hedonist, in a way that cuts through all areas and all levels of life. So, tinuod man din eh. Dato, na mura kaming follow sa uban nasod sa Amerika. Nag-adapt ka sa ilahang technology, pero iwit man gihapon ta kay taas na tag-teknology, kung pasada, buba na gihapon, kung gano'n, naka-adapt mo na, imbalance din kaayo, wala, dili tanan. Kitang Filipino culture, ganahan tag-signature, mga branded. Then, the jewels of the copper. Kani jewels of the copper, mauni ang ato ang treasure, ang faith, ang culture. Because we are rich in our culture. Moto, ibasihan na to ang atong history, unsa ta na at atong bayanihan from the history na. Proven na nato ang atong. And then, Filipinos are called to rediscover these three qualities na ani. Kalooban, kalinangan, culture, kasaysayan, history, and are all permeated from within the Catholic faith. And therefore, how precisely as grace, these three realities are sources of hope and optimism for them as a nation. Muna atong source of hope. Kay tungod, enduring ang Filipino, bisa kung sa kalisod. And muna na-attractan sa mga foreigners na go. Despite sa ito kapubi, we can still smile, we are still hospitable, isang gamay na kay naanato, asa ko siya i-offer, di ba?
Yes, bisag magbaha, nagangkang sayaw.
And then, ato over unsa man natong mga pamilya sa Pilipino. Family, sa catechism nato, it plays a pivotal role in the life of individual and society. The basic unit of the society. So, everything starts from their education. Family are the most important reference group, the core of the alliance system of Filipinos, and the primary group where they find security, strength, and support. Isa pa may lain. Magkaguba man ang kalibutan na to, kung naalang ang pamilya mo, support nimo, kita makomfort ka dito. Basta naalang si mama, si papa. Diba? Ato na kinaiyak. That is part of our culture. The family has the unique advantage of catechizing and of instilling among its young members basic human values. Ano po, amin-amin, di ba ato na wala na sa uban. Nag-start na sa family. Pero kung pamilya ka may notice in the city, urban areas, wala na ng amin-amin, di na din mo amin. Hi. Ingon lang ka, hi, hello. Diba? Wala na dyan. Pero sa probinsya, nakapag pa na.
Naabot
Muna,
ko.
video na ninyo kalintag. Ikuan niya ko na.
Sa mga bata, i-practice ang amin.
Practice dihapon. Then, the Filipino family is basically religious in the midst of serious social and economic difficulties. It is still God-centered, showing a remarkable adaptability and strength anchored on basic faith and trust in God's mercy. Economic pressures in the families makes family catechesis more difficult, but not at all impossible. Buka na no? Ngunit ang explanation. Sige. Then, what are the threats sa family? Philippine legislature to legalize divorce. My goodness. To actively foster a contraceptive mentality of intercultural marriages and even same-sex marriages. Muna yung nakatuba sa pamilya natin. It makes us catechists to be more difficult to teach because of that backgrounds in kada bata. Maglisod kag sabot nila. Then we have another concern, parental absenteeism, lack of education, unemployment, underemployment, and other forms of social and economic pressures have taken their toll as the increased phenomenon of broken families clearly manifests. Sani? Parental absenteeism? Tungod ni pinangabroad ang mga mamagpapa. Kisa naman mo disiplina sa mga bata. Wala na. I-confide na lang sa mga lola, sa mga tiya, mga auntie, agaw, kuya, o mga pinsan, mga... Sometimes mangguno, ang mga bata ay notice, nibiyan ng mga magpapa kay ng trabaho. Ang nabili na magulang, which is 15 years old, have to take care the 3 years old. Yeah, what kind of kanang isa ko na matudlo niya nga siya mismo nag-need sa siya. So, ang iyaha lang mahatag sa bata, ang iyaha lang ang essential. Ma-take care niya, mapakaon niya, pero ang education wala na. Ang instilling of the Christian faith, wala. Kasi siya mismo nag-need sa mao na, lisod na sa atoa. Children today are highly exposed to current inventions, both in the learning and recreational aspects and social media. Unfortunately, they are also the primary victims of parental separations, absentee parents, poverty, child labor, human trafficking, armed conflicts, and sexual and physical abuse.